Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Christian Zawadzki, and I'm an academic researcher from Faculty of Management and Economics, Gdańska University of Technology. And this time I would like to present my research concept concerning monetary valuation of social benefits in connection with the implementation of technological innovations at 4 Euro 2012 stadiums in Poland. And before I start, I would like to say that not only the construction of the sports arenas, but also the ongoing maintenance costs drain the pockets of Polish taxpayers. At the same time, Euro 2012 stadiums remain underused, which familiarize the host cities with the concept of white elephants. And I'm not talking about the specific time of COVID-19, of course. Just for your information, a white elephant is defined as some kind of possession which its owner cannot dispose of and whose cost, particularly that of maintenance, is out of proportion to its usefulness. These are constructions which are overscaled and not very well adapted to the needs of residents. Hence, the justification for the utilization of public means based on financial terms alone is extremely problematic considering the various needs of local communities. In this research concept, due to the application of the contingent valuation method, I would use the abbreviation CVM. The social effects obtained by the residents of 4 Polish cities, namely Gdańsk, Poznań, Wrocław, and Warsaw, were linked to proposed technological innovations, which were given appropriate monetary values in order to figure out if these technological innovations may be even partly a response to the involvement of public funds. So let's start. The first thing is the reason for taking up this issue. So in this study, attention has been focused on technological innovations implemented in large sports facilities such as football stadiums. And the starting point for further consideration is the assumption that these innovations are essential to cope with the increased usage of these facilities and the demand reported from funds. The impact of these innovations on specific stakeholder groups, including, among others, local authorities, sports clubs, coaches, players, of course, consumers, can vary. Although there have been few studies in the field of the social implications of sports innovations to date, no one, to the best of my knowledge, has attempted to estimate the value of technological innovations implemented in sports facilities, nor determine the impact on the level of social effects which result from the way local communities perceive this type of innovation. As far as I'm concerned, this is the gap which prevents sports entities from fully understanding the usefulness of technological innovations in sport and recognizing their social impact. Accordingly, this may contribute to limiting the competitiveness of sports entities in the long term and undermining the essence of the functioning of the sports industry on the market. On the basis of what I've already said, the main aim of this research is to provide a social valuation using CVM of the technological innovations implemented at 4 Euro 2012 stadiums in Poland. The idea of using these 4 stadiums is not only to provide more robust results on the social valuation of technological innovations at sports facilities in general, but also to link both technological and social innovations in the context of sports venues. By attributing a value to the social perception of technological innovations, an indirect objective of the study is an endeavor to compare the intangible benefits to the tangible maintenance costs incurred in the case of all 4 stadiums, which amounted to 88 million Polish zlotys per year. This is approximately 20 million euro. The maintenance costs are funded exclusively by public means, which is not easy to justify considering the various needs of local communities. Therefore, these 4 stadiums lead to considerable financial burdens in the host cities' budgets. Innovations in the field of sports are characterized by a peculiarity far from the assumptions of Schumpeter, considered to be a precursor of incorporating innovation to the field of scholars. They are perceived more as an improvement and implementation of new ideas rather than the introduction of new products, methods, or technologies. The application of innovative ideas referring to products, services, as well as production and organization methods focuses on either qualitative or quantitative change in the field of sport and aims to improve both competitiveness and value creation in the sports industry. Accordingly, sports innovation can be defined as an idea influencing the development of a process, product, or service that enhances competitiveness in a sports context and satisfies customer needs by creating value. This definition shows that in the field of sports innovation, special emphasis is placed on competitiveness. Although the sources behind participation in sports competitions can be varied, an inherent element in the nature of modern sports is to enhance performance in order to compete. I believe you know what I'm talking about, striving for victory, breaking records, or just being the best can be, in my opinion, sufficient enough drivers for innovation in the field of sport. The second objective featured in the definition of sports innovations is value creation. This may refer either to economic, financial, or social value. Whereas economic or financial values have almost always been considered tangible, social value is almost always perceived as intangible. The objective of most technological innovation in sport is to increase the value of sports products, services, and processes by providing better performance. The practical implications stemming from the research revealed that technological innovation applied by sports entities may produce a competitive advantage, which in the long term leads to the enhancements of economic value. Although research has generated academic interest on the economic impact of sport, less is known about how innovation in sport contributes to the development of society. And Tyndall pays attention to social innovation, connecting this to qualitative innovation in the public sector. This varies as it may be connected to social justice and equality, but also may provide social unity and community interactions, promote a healthy style of life, as well as leading to an enhancement of the quality of life and the so-called feel-good factor. This review already shows that these are intangible, these are elusive and hard to measure values which do not appear at the traditional market and therefore are not very easy to quantify. Nevertheless, there are several methods that open up the possibility to assigning of assigning monetary values to such social effects. These methods are divided into revealed preference methods. You can see it on the left side, and stated preference methods, which are located on the right side. And the first group of methods consists of observing the actual behavior and decisions of consumers who make a purchase or otherwise are the users of a given good. And the second group of methods relies on attempting to simulate the market in order to show hypothetical behavior and consumer reactions to the proposed scenario related to the use of given good. So the question in this case is, how much would you pay for some hypothetical situation? Among stated preference methods, the most widely used in the field of research related to the subject of sport has been the contingent valuation method. The use of CVM in sport has developed quite clearly in recent years, covering several areas. Most often, the contingent valuation method is used to justify the construction of sports facilities from public funds, what I'm doing now, but also to value the intangible benefits in connection with the organization of sporting events, or in order to determine the value of sports clubs. So the main question in my research has been whether the Euro 2012 stadiums, on the one hand, perceived as beautiful, you can see it, and distinctive facilities may be examples of white elephants. Although on the basis of what I have already said, the question is rather why are they perceived as white elephants and not if they are perceived as white elephants. In order to confirm the response to this question, it seems useful to refer to the main characteristics of these arenas. all four stadiums were financed from public funds, either from central or from local budgets. Amongst the facilities to host the 2012 European Championship, only the stadium in Poznań was actually in existence in 2007, when the official announcement was issued that Poland had been selected to co-host the tournament finals. You can see that the respective proportions between centrally provided funds guaranteed directly from the state budget and funds from the municipal budgets of individual cities are quite different. It reveals that except for the national stadium, which was entirely financed from the central budget, the preparation of all the other venues was based mainly on funds from the host city budgets. This means that the cities are the owners of the facilities, and as such, they have been burdened with the responsibility for the maintenance of the stadiums following Euro 2012. And in fact, the true test of time for the host cities came after the tournament finals ended. The management of huge facilities overscaled and not adjusted to the needs of local communities, generating high maintenance costs is not an easy task, a fact already learned by the host of former events of this type, which contributed to the creation of white elephants, for example, in Portugal in 2004. For the time being, all stadiums, apart from National Stadium in Warsaw, have generated a deficit. And I'm not talking about this concrete time, but the period before the corona wave. For example, in 2018, the operational loss of the stadium in Wrocław amounted to 9 million zlotys, while in Gdańsk it was 2.6 million zlotys. So in short, it confirms the fact of existence of the white elephants, considering that in this moment, the whole situation is probably worse. The contingent evaluation method is based on the Pareto concept, whereby only a given entity may determine in what direction the welfare is modified, and consequently the direction of modifications to their complete utility. Considering the subject of this research, technological innovations implemented at a sports facility may instigate such a change, and due to attendance at a given location, an increase in welfare should appear. The study was conducted in 4 Polish cities, where sports venues for Euro 2012 were located. And for each city, 300 adult residents, 18 plus years old, were surveyed between July and September 2019. The research was based on internet interviews connected by a specialized public opinion research company using their database of emails of residents of the 4 cities. In order to ensure the representativeness of the research sample, each time the basic socioeconomic parameters were agreed on with their features, including age and gender, distributed among the population of the cities of Gdańsk, Poznań, Warsaw, and Wrocław. Altogether, 1,200 people participated in the survey, but after data cleaning, in which respondents provided blank or incomplete answers were removed, the final sample contained explicitly 1,059 responses. Each respondent in the study was read a description intended to increase their awareness of the issues treated in the study and serving as an introduction. Afterwards, respondents were presented with the payment cards, including 25 different tax amounts, from 1 zloty to 250 zloty, from very low number to the very high number. And the latter was considered to not be exceeded by respondents. And the payment vehicle was based on a one-time pay in the form of household property tax. Then a hypothetical scenario was read. I'm not going to talk about it in detail, but if anyone is interested in the hypothetical scenario construction and content, just let me know by email. And of course, I may describe it in detail. The determinants for willingness to pay were chosen on the basis of previously implemented research in the broad context of sport. You can see 4 main groups of variables. So these are socioeconomic, then defining the attitude to sport, and attending events, social benefits. Between them, you can find urban generation, creating a sense of community well-being, sense of security, or neighborhood connections. And of course, the most important, probably the most important from this research point of view, technological innovation. This group includes drones, solar panels, construction of solar panels, public viewing equipment. I mean, huge screens used, for example, in the fan zones, wireless fast internet, and mobile applications. Some results, so interestingly, from 8% to 25% of respondents indicated support for the implementation of technological innovations in the Euro 2012 stadiums, depending on the city and type of innovation. It is difficult to clearly state which of the proposed technological innovations enjoyed the greatest recognition due to the diversity of results in individual cities, but the smallest importance should be attributed to the implementation of mobile applications for better time management and for improving the quality of life of the event participants. The variable applications, APPS, in 3 out of the 4 cities was indicated by the smallest number of respondents, I mean from 8% to 10%. In addition, the analysis of WTP determinants table indicates that in Gdańsk, the APPS variable has a negative impact on the level of the WTP offer. And another example of a negative impact on the willingness to pay level occurs in the case of the stadium in Warsaw and concerns the installation of a wireless fast internet. Both cases are associated with the use of electronic devices when at stadium and can be explained by the consumers' reluctance to use them during events at the stadium due to being distracting. And interesting, and although fully understandable relationship between the social effects and technological innovations was demonstrated by respondents in 2 cities, I mean Gdańsk and Warsaw. In both cases, the significant determinants of the WTP level were both the variable associated with the sense of security and the variable regarding the use of drones to ensure the safety of airspace in the vicinity of the stadium. And the analysis of WTP determinants associated with technological innovations indicates that respondents attach great importance to the idea of building solar panels in the vicinity of their stadium. In 3 out of 4 cities, the variable S was statistically significant, at least at the level of 10%. These results may be related to the increasing level of social responsibility for the environment in the European Union in general, but in Poland in particular. I mean, many government programs have recently appeared in the country that promote through financial support projects related to the use of renewable energy sources for both individuals and companies. Aggregated values were calculated according to the mean value of willingness to pay, considering the number of 18+ residents of each city. They describe the total value of social benefits deriving from the existence of each stadium and are explicitly linked with the implementation of technological innovations at each venue. According to these results, the evaluation of the intangible benefits for all 4 sports facilities amounts to almost 70 million zlotys. The amount was affected to the greatest extent by the valuation of the national stadium in Warsaw. Not only was the mean value of WTP the highest in the Polish capital, but also the number of the population. As a result, the aggregate value expressing support for the implementation of technological innovations at the stadium in Warsaw is over 40% higher than the annual stadium maintenance costs, calculated at 30 million 30 million zlotys. I think this is a surprisingly high amount, confirming the importance that local communities attach to the existence of large sports facilities in their cities and the willingness of residents to participate in the technological modernization of these venues. In the other three cities, the average valuation of social benefits is significantly lower and fluctuates around 9 million zlotys. However, the obtained amounts should still be considered high compared to the annual cost of maintenance. In each case, the share of the aggregate valuation exceeds 40% of the stadium's annual maintenance cost and makes all of the Polish stadiums in Euro 2012 profitable when included in the financial statement. Some chosen conclusions. Well, presented research may have implications for policymakers who are interested in the link between the sports sector and local development. The research has proved the importance of technological innovations at the Euro 2012 stadiums in Poland. Therefore, on the basis of this part of the research, it has been proved the local community perception of technological innovations may be considered an important factor in justification of using public funds for financing large sports facilities. The amount of the proposed offers for technological innovations at Polish stadiums was determined by the perceived social benefits. In particular, respondents pointed to the occurrence of well-being as a variable characterized by statistical significance in each of the four cities. Generally, the idea of implementing technological innovations was appreciated by respondents and influenced the amount of the WTP offer. Not least, it is worth emphasizing that the interest in the idea of installing solar panels, which would, on the one hand, make stadiums more energy dependent and on the other, generate lower maintenance costs in the future. Respondents whose WTP was affected by a sense of security within the stadium at the same time pointed to the need to use drones, which seems to be a logical complement. However, the proposal to implement technological innovations has not always had a positive impact on the level of WTP. The example of the stadium in Warsaw showed that respondents were cautious about the idea of installing fast wireless internet in the sports stadium. In turn, the residents of Gdańsk expressed their reluctance to implement mobile applications. Although these were supposed to contribute to better time management and improve the quality of life of event participants, the respondents were of a different opinion. This shows that the implication and implementation of technological innovation is not enough. Some additional conditions must be met, including, for example, identifying the expectations of stakeholders. And at the end, I would like to say something about the shortcomings of research concept. Firstly, it appears only to value the potential benefits, although, as it has been mentioned above, there are also some threats from the implementation of technological innovations at sports facilities. So I would like to say is that the evaluation of this cost is missing. Yet it may be assumed that they appear. Of course, new technology may cause distraction during the event time, for example. So only their inclusion would allow the net benefits of technological innovations to be estimated, which would probably also lower the resulting amount of aggregated values. Secondly, the study submitted the fact of the very likely occurrence of protest responses, which might have caused interference in the obtained results. In CVM research, not every response in the proposed offer corresponds to the real state. This also applies to some of the zero values, which would have been higher if, for example, the payment mechanism had not been tax-based. Finally, it's worth mentioning that the research is carried out at a dramatic point in the flow of corona waves. As a consequence, the world football state and its big arenas are endangered, since the coming back of mass events in elephants is not ensured in the near future. Nonetheless, the overscaled sporting arenas exist, still generating high maintenance costs. Well, thank you very much for your attention. If you've got any question, just use the email address I put at the first slide. Thank you very much.